Hi, this is Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington, and this is going to be a quickie video. I just wanted to talk about sloppy guitar electronics and the kinds of problems that they can cause. If you're not somebody that looks at guitar wiring for a living or regularly, the problem here may not stand out to you, but to me this is like a glaring issue. And that is, if you look at these uninsulated ground wires, you see how absurdly long these are. Generally speaking, when these things are soldered, you cut this part as short as you can and you ground it to the back of the pot, and you just strip the wire back far enough that you can get this little guy in the center to the point that it needs to go to. And the reason that you do that is so that you don't end up with these really long hanging uninsulated wires in here. Now, this guitar is experiencing an issue where when we plug it in, we're not getting any signal sometimes. And I'm willing to bet, just dollars to donuts, that one of the issues that we're having here is that if you take this wire here, sorry for my hand being in the way, and you just move it a little bit, you see that it comes into contact with this solder joint here. And that solder joint is to a tab that is extremely important to this switch, because if you follow this blue wire with me, where it comes off of there, and you see that it goes into the volume pot right here, well, that's our input into the volume. This little white one coming out is our output. The volume pot, when you have a master volume, is the thing that if signal isn't going to that, or it's not going through that, you don't have any signal. This is a pinch point in the circuit, and so basically, by shorting out this wire here that takes whatever pickup is selected by the selector switch and pumps that to this point here, if that's shorted, you're going to lose all your signal regardless of what setting you're on, because no signal is going to be making it out of that switch via that connector, and that's the connector being used for that purpose. So there are a number of other issues that I see with the electronics in here, and basically I'm going to be going in here and touching all of this stuff up. Not the least of which is that, looking at that, it looks like that's about ready to break. It looks like, because this has been bent like severely at an angle, wire is flexible, but wire doesn't like to be bent that far. We've got this going on. We've got some cold solder joints in here. We've got this stuff stripped back. We're basically going to be going in here and touching up all of this wiring, because this is just not acceptable and it's causing problems. To top that off, I'm not exactly sure that this is the only problem going on with the electronics in this thing, because when I plugged this in to test it initially, after realizing I wasn't getting any signal out of it, very first thing that I did was move these wires away from that lead, and I still wasn't getting any signal for some reason. And so there may be other things going on in here that are different from that issue, but that is also definitely an issue. This comes down to one of these cases where, when I open it up and I look at it, there's one easily identifiable problem, but there are numerous other things that I see that could also be a problem. And because of that, rather than, fixing one thing at a time and trying to chase this thing all the way through the system, you root out this problem and now you got this one, you root out this problem and now you got this one. It's better just to go in there and just do a real thorough job like it should have been done in the first place. And, anybody that's ever fixed up an old car or an old machine of any kind, you're familiar with you fix the one thing and then the thing next to it breaks and the thing next to that breaks, and before you get the thing driving again, you have this ship of Theseus situation where you've replaced all of the parts in the machine that do the things. And so what part of it is original? Well, in this case, we can go ahead and we can reuse these parts. It's just all these wires that are gonna maybe either get pulled out or at least get, newly soldered to their appropriate joints. And we'll be able to get this thing into a much more healthy condition where it works more reliably. Because reliability, in the case of any machine that you're using, and a guitar is a machine, is the key thing that's going to distinguish that machine from being something that you can use in a professional setting, like on stage, playing your shows, whatever, and something that you can't rely on for doing professional stuff, like playing your shows and stuff, because you're not going to want to go on stage with a guitar that's liable to just cut out on you for seemingly no reason. So, yeah. big problem, big mistakes. This one is one that I see kind of often, and it's why I wanted to talk about it in this video. This kind of thing where you have unshielded stuff kind of traveling around in the electronics bay is just never good, because there are a lot of these, you know, leads here where you've got stuff soldered to it that carries signal, and if you've got something that's connected to ground coming in contact with it, that's an instant short. And so if you leave this stuff uncovered and kind of dangly so it's able to go around and swing into this stuff or swing into this stuff, you're just asking for a short. You really want to be sure that when you're doing your wiring work that you are doing so in a way that's going to be sure to keep the ground system separate from, you know, these guys, except at the points where you want it to be talking to the ground, like, you know, at a tone pot or something like that. Really, other than that, there's no exception to that. Ground is separate from your signal, and you need to keep it that way in order for the guitar to work. So in keeping with that, we're going to go in here, we're going to do some work on it, we're going to make it better, and it's going to be a really reliable and cool sounding telly after we get done with that. Anyway, this has been Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington. If you like this video, found it entertaining, lots more like it on my channel. Link them around to friends, like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. In the description, you can find some links where you can throw me a tip if you feel like it, where you can sign up for my Patreon. And you can go visit my Reverb page where I sell some stuff, and also my website where I have my contact info, my pricing information on repair jobs, and also a page that I wrote on caring for stringed instruments. For those of you that feel compelled to contact me regarding some project that you're working on, I do accept those sorts of consultations over one of those links where you can provide tips. So you'll find information about that in the description. Anyway, this has been Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington. Thank you for watching.